welcome to a very, very early, incredibly early, and incredibly rare Sunday morning poly stream. How y'all doing out there? Hope you're doing well. You know that I wouldn't drag your asses out of bed this early in the morning, especially on a Sunday, because on the Sabbath we all rest. We all are our own gods, of course, and unless it was a special occasion. And that special occasion is that I have been given the chance to sit here and yap to someone I can only describe as one of the most prolific, fun, and skilled streamers that I have enjoyed watching for a number of years now. So everybody out there in Polyland and beyond, please give a warm welcome to the bringer of beer, whale aficionado, and flawless gameplay guru, Slackanater.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me.
How you doing, sir?
Fantastic. I've got a cup of coffee and a Sunday morning, a little bit of time off to chat. So I'm in a great place right now.
And you're being interviewed by a plushie on the internet. How's that feel? You ever have that trip? That's a new trip. You could.
It feels. It's like a little bit of chills and then like a little bit of like residual stickiness. I don't know why. It's an odd feeling.
A lot of people say they kind of get a sweaty butt crack the first time they talk to a plushie, and it's, you know, I get it. It's understandable. Sweaty butt crack
is new. It's a new thing.
It's a new experience, new experiences, sweaty butt cracks. Who could say they've never had a sweaty butt crack before, right? It's one of the hallmarks of summer.
4 sweaty butt cracks in less than 60 seconds.
Always go full
That's
sweaty
a record.
butt crack. It's, you know what? You are a world record holder. Did we just break the sweaty butt crack world record?
I think you did. I really do.
Might have done it. Eat that burrito world record. All right. So for those that do not know or who are not familiar with Slackanator, first of all, what's your problem? What are you doing with your life? That's very rude. You're being very rude to my guest right now. Apologize, first and foremost.
We can wait, too.
Yeah, I'll wait for apologies. We're waiting. Somebody better apologize.
Insert cricket sound.
How do you make a cricket sound with your mouth? I don't know I can do that.
I don't think.
All right.
Chirp,
all right,
chirp.
We got it.
No, that was bad.
All right, people are sorry. All right.
There, we got some apologies.
All right. So I was not kidding when I said that this guy is prolific. Like, you are somebody who's kind of a bit of like an all-arounder. So I was like trying to put together an interview with you, and it's like, what angle do I approach this from? Because you're
the back.
Well, that's where the sweaty butt crack's at. So that's where, obviously,
exactly.
It's like the icing on the cake. What are we doing?
No, this is an odd start. All right,
we are off the tracks already.
Everybody.
All right, hold on. I'm the conductor. I can do this. So, along with being streamer, big, well-known streamer now, and a world record-holding speedrunner, you brew beer.
I do.
You're a coder.
This is true. This is bad, poorly coding, but I do some.
All of my games are badly coded, but here's the thing. They work. And so long as things work, who cares if they're badly coded?
My stuff works most of the time.
Most of the time. Most of the time. And you do like big boy multi-day, multi-month hikes that I think would leave most of us dead of a heart attack or mauled by bears. I
do that as well. Yeah. That's my second main passion, I guess, is walking in the woods and in the mountains. It's a very easy connection there. Like people that like to sit in and play Nintendo for 6, 8, 10 hours and also want to hike over mountains for weeks at a time. It's like almost the same.
You are literally somebody that could say to you online, go touch grass, and you're just like, dog, I do this for a living.
I love touching grass.
Love touching me some grass.
I do it as often as I can. This last trip I went on was not grass, though. It was all sand.
Yeah, I was noticing the pictures.
Nightmare.
It looked like I mean, every hiking trip looks. That's not like my longest hiking trip is 12 hours. Okay, so Like, that's the best I've ever done. But, like, looking at you doing the multi-day things, and especially this last one, it looked rough.
It was so bad. It was so bad. I don't even know where to begin with that trip. That trip was... and I normally do like mountain hiking and stuff. That's just what I'm most comfortable with, and I'm very comfortable in the woods. And the goal this year was to go on a hike that was like a vacation. So the Outer Banks in North Carolina is like this string of islands where on one side you've got the ocean, the other side you've got the sound, and you're basically in the middle of the water. This sounds great. It's a vacation-y. There's people on the beach, and it's just walk up the beach for 82 miles of just glorious have fun. And everything that could go wrong went wrong on that hike, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse all the way to the very end. It was bad. But at the end, so this is one thing that I appreciate doing very challenging things is not during the challenging thing, but it's looking back on it. I will never forget this hike. Never in a million years. Out of all of the stuff that I've done, this one will always stand out because it was so hard and because it was so challenging. So there's that balancing act.
Absolutely.
If it's just fun and easy, you don't remember it.
Yeah,
it kind of fades into obscurity.
Like, the best things that are worth doing, I think, involve a good bit of challenge, you know, in the same way that, like, I've learned instruments, I learned audio engineering. It's like all of those things, like, I hold dear because you have to really put a lot of yourself into it. And I think the more of yourself you got to put into something like that, the more it's going to stick with you. So, yeah. And you were with, like, an 83-year-old dude for this one, weren't you?
Oh, 82.
Okay, well,
my bad.
My bad. Not that. Spring chicken, really.
So that's actually kind of interesting because Lucky is it's what we call him. On hiking trips, it's common for people to get what they call a trail name. There you go. Get it out. And it's just something that happens on a hike or something like that. Someone kind of brands you with this name, and he got branded with Lucky because at 80 years old, at the time when he got the name, he was 72, but he was just so fortunate to have the health to hike.
Yeah.
So fortunate that his wife would let him do these long hikes. So fortunate that he could financially do it. So, and he said, fortunate sounds stupid. So I'll be lucky.
That's a dumb name.
That's a dumb name, so I'll be lucky. And I met him on our AT through hike, and we've hiked every year since then. But yeah, 82 miles this year at 82 years old.
82 years old. That's incredible. You've also hiked the Appalachian Trail.
This is true. You said your longest hike was 12 hours.
Yeah.
My longest hike was 152 days.
That's it. Okay, now I may be getting my details mixed up. Did you propose to your wife on that trip as well, or was that a different one?
I absolutely did.
Okay. I wanted to make sure.
I'm gonna send you a quick picture on Discord. Sure. If people want to see, this was the last day. Is this the one that we want? No, that one. The first one, I had Lucky. There happened to be a sign because there's mile markers along this trail that we were on, and there happened to be a mile marker for mile 82, and I told Lucky to go. Oh, here it is, right? Yeah. All right. Oh, yeah, it's on its way to you. I don't know if you can somehow get it on the stream for people to see. People can see Lucky. But I told him, go ahead. There's a sign, 82. You're go stand by that sign and make sure to look really tired and old. And he just walked up to it, put his hand on it, and turned towards me. And I snapped the picture quick, and I was like, perfect. You did great. If you see it, he is tired and old. That's Lucky right there.
All right, let me get this up. I'll get this up on stream. You can keep yapping.
But we had just spent 5 days. It was 100+ degrees every single day on the beach, in the sand, no shade, getting burnt, blisters on our feet. The night before this, so hot and humid, there was thunderstorms all the time. The night before this, I'll explain one.
There we go. We got Lucky up on screen now.
Yep, there
is our boy.
That's him right
That
there.
is a man's man right there.
82 years old, and that is the end of an 82-mile hike.
He looks like he just did 82 miles. Holy shit.
Like I said, I told him, I said, go stand by that sign and be sure to look old and tired. And as soon as he put his hand on it, I snapped the picture. That's just the way that he looked and felt. But like I said, it kept getting worse and worse. The night before this, let me just do a quick tangent for a story. Go ahead. This is day 5. On day 4, we had what was the easiest day at 14 miles. And it actually didn't seem like a terrible day. And we got done early enough. Our goal was to go to bed early and get a lot of extra sleep, because this day that this picture is the end of, this day was 21 miles long. And 21 miles is a ton to walk at the end of a trip in 100-degree weather. So we sat down the night before trying to get a lot of rest, try to get as much sleep as we could. We crawled into our tents, and Lucky had a watch. You can see it in that picture. He's got a watch on his wrist, and it's a Garmin. It tells you what the temperature is. His tent was 96 degrees that night. How do you sleep in 96? You don't. So we struggled to try to sleep. We laid down at about 6 o'clock at night to try to get as much as we could. And I would say sometime after 7, I started to doze off. I was able to leave the rain cover of my tent partially off to try to get any of the breeze. There's a decent breeze that goes down the shoreline, so it's nice. At least the air's moving. And I remember dozing off, and then I woke up, and you get kind of a keen sense for things. I woke up, it was night, it was 10:30 or something like that, and I felt the breeze coming in had a sharp, like, coolness to it, which screams to me rain. I'm like, okay, it's going to rain. And I'm like, all right, hey, it's not raining now. I'm awake. I could easily put my rain tarp out, and I'm not going to get wet. It was a great thing to wake up. It's like, great. Yeah, so I got up, put everything out, ready to go. By 11 o'clock, it started raining, and between 11 and 4 in the morning was the worst thunderstorm I have ever had to be in a tent in my life. I don't know. I took there's no way that this is going to actually come up, but I took a video of the sound. I don't know if my mic will pick it up or not. Is that picking it up? Probably not.
Nah, I don't hear much.
Anyways, it is the worst thunderstorm I've ever slept through for 5 hours straight. The rain is getting pushed through my rain tarp, and it's actually coming in and flooding my tent and getting everything wet.
No.
I'm holding my hand out of the side of the tent to hold the rain fly away from my tent.
God.
For like an hour and a half, I'm just laying in bed going like this.
Jesus.
It was, and that's the night before a 21-mile hike. So that is probably added a little bit to this, because I didn't sleep from 11 o'clock until 4, and then the lightning had quit, and I yelled over to Lucky in his tent. I'm like, I'm wet, I'm sandy. I'm not going to be able to sleep now. And he's like, I'm not able to sleep. Like, so we're going to get up. So we got up at 4 and packed away all of our wet sand. There was sand.
Oh, God. I can only imagine. Yeah.
There was sand everywhere. And we were just cold and tired and wet. We weren't cold for very long. But as soon as we started going, it was just so uncomfortable for the entire day.
It's like, like a 5-hour storm is the prologue to the end of this awful
It
trek.
was.
Oh my God.
It was bad.
Anyway,
we were talking about you were talking about the AT, I think, was where that tangent started.
Oh my God. The Appalachian Trail. Yeah, I was just bringing that up, that is something that you've done, and that you also like capped it by proposing to your wife on it. I think that's just an amazing story that you have to be able to like. I think that's just an amazing thing to have done, just to pull. Like, go ahead.
And for anybody interested, there is I video documented that whole trip.
Yes, he did.
So
it's on his.
There is a channel on YouTube called Between the Blazes. Trails are often marked with white, or not white always, but different color, but like a patch of paint on a tree. And they call it a blaze. So our channel name was Between the Blazes, things that happened on the trail. And that whole trip from Georgia to Maine, all 152 days are documented. Even the proposal is a story that's documented as well
Yeah,
on
I would
there.
hope so. Yeah,
I got it on video, which is pretty cool. I never thought it would work out the way that it did. But so if people are interested in more about the hiking side of it, all of that's documented.
I'm grabbing that link right now and throwing it in chat for people who want to check that out.
There it is.
There's good stuff. I've watched a lot of these videos by now just because I think that they're relaxing, and it's just like, this is something I've never done, so I like watching people.
My wife and I are idiots too.
Yes,
we're
that's
just goofy
perfect.
people.
We're
just goofy people.
Goofy people are the best people to be around, I think. All right, Lucky, we're gonna say goodbye to Lucky for now. Bye, Lucky.
Oh, Lucky.
We love Lucky. Lucky's awesome. We'll bring him back. You know what? We'll make him a mascot for today. We'll sit him here on the table with us. It'll be fine. We're gonna make it Lucky's day. Just doing some. Oh, this thing's not cropping. You know what? I was gonna do it, but now I'm not gonna do it because it's not cooperating. Later, Lucky.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Bye, Lucky.
I had to do it to him. I'm sorry. All right. So, Slack, I know you from very humble beginnings. I remember originally seeing your stream when you were pushing for affiliate. And you were doing Zelda 2 runs at the time. At any point when you were starting out your streaming journey, did you ever kind of think that you'd be where you're at this point and have like the success that you have? Like, you seem like a driven individual to me, that I could see you starting out with like, I'm driven and I want to make this a thing that I do. But did it really kind of just start more organically and just like, nah, I just want to stream video games for people? Or...
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite. The way that it started was there was no aspirations of being a streamer. The way it started was my wife and I, when we finished the AT, finished the Appalachian Trail. My wife was going to school. Then she was in school in Philadelphia. We were there for about a year, and then when she graduated, we moved back home. Which is in northwest Pennsylvania. When we moved back home, we just kind of got settled in. We had gotten married. Our first child was on the way, and we were starting a family. Well, she grew up with siblings all really close together in age. My family is spread out. Like, I'm about 15 years younger than my oldest sister.
Oh, my God.
Just big spread out family. Hers is all real close. I didn't really care, and she wanted our kids to be close. I'm like, all right, good, great. That's fine. So we had 3 children. We had 3 boys in a little over 3 years. Baby, which worked out well. You know, we've got all of our kids went through diapers at the same time. It's kind of nice to have, you go through stages with all of the kids instead of, having a 6-year-old and then having a baby with diapers again, having to go through it all. But one thing that it did was it took me, who someone 5 years prior had, we talked about my brewery and stuff like that. I had a house that I bought young. I was a bachelor for a lot of years here, very free. And I've always had kind of that freedom. And then all of a sudden, like, I was stuck and overwhelmed with this. Life is no longer about me in any way. When you have kids, you give up a lot for your children. And I was more than willing to do that. And I have, but I wasn't ready for what it does to you mentally. When you have nothing that is yours. Everything is, you can't even use the bathroom in privacy because the kids are busting in and whatever. So I was desperately looking for something that I could do that was for me. I had made in the years prior, I had made that gradual transition through video gaming from, the consoles, the NES, up to PlayStation. I did PS2 and Xbox 360, and then there was a point where I just stopped with modern gaming. but I always liked playing video games. So at this time with the 3 kids, I needed something. So I was like, I'll go back and I'll play those old games that I played as a kid. And it started with Zelda 2, which was one of my favorite games, and on an emulator in a PC in the back room. I didn't even have my consoles were still packed away. It was just, I still had a lot of my stuff from my childhood. I just didn't take it out.
Yeah.
It was just like, no, I've got a computer emulation. Here we go. Plug a USB controller in and play games. And that's really where it started. And it was a video by Lord of Ultima, who is a Zelda 2 speedrunner. It was a video of one of his PBs. I didn't even know about speedrunning at the time.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea any of that exists, but I saw a video of his, and what it was a VOD of his PB that he was watching and doing commentary for. And what he did was he explained all the tricks, not in great detail, but he explained things as he was going. And I was watching this crazy thing happen on the screen, and I knew how it was happening because he was rewatching it himself and saying, this is what I'm doing here, and this is why I'm doing it. And all of a sudden this is what I felt like. Like I can do this thing. It's not this magical thing. I'm like, I want to try doing that. So I set off to try to learn how to do a speed run of Zelda 2. And if you're going to do any kind of speed runs, you need to, as anybody that's got into that, you need to be able to record it and document it. And OBS is your screen sharing, screen recording. And I noticed the buttons on OBS were record or go
stream.
live.
Yeah.
Or stream. And the PC that I was using had 0 storage.
Oh.
I'm going, well,
that's a problem.
Maybe if I go live,
right?
Twitch stores them for a while.
Yeah.
So literally going live on Twitch was because I wanted to be able to have speed runs that I could submit, and I didn't have any room to store them. So I went live so that Twitch would store them. That was the start of it. There was no idea about having a Twitch live stream that did anything other than satisfy my need to have some me time. And all of my streams were at like 10 o'clock to midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, which is not the way my stream is set up now.
You were like my work time, like your stream is like my work time, like background. Like I have you on every morning, like when I'm at work. So, yeah, you are the morning guy now.
And it's just not the way it started. Now I did have, it wasn't my first attempt at video gaming video stuff, like gaming and videos,
because you did Minecraft stuff on YouTube and stuff before.
Very early on I did some Minecraft YouTube stuff, which I still enjoy now, which turned into the hiking vlogging thing. So there was some toes being dipped into things early on. Yeah. But my reason for starting live streaming on Twitch was, like I said, that necessity to have something that was for me, and it quickly started to grow. With Zelda 2, like you said at the very beginning, it was Zelda 2 that started it all.
I have to say, like I'm a speedrunner myself, and Zelda 2 is a game that I still would not try to come at. That game is so incredibly dense. It is so long. It's
long.
It's very long.
Super long and hard.
Very long and hard. Yes.
It is.
That is a monolith of a video game to take, and that was your first speed run. What was it that you were able to?
I didn't know any better.
That's insane to me. I started out with fucking Wrecking Crew and Contra, which are like, one is a 3-minute game and one is a 10-minute game, and then Bad Dudes is like 18, and it's just like, what are you doing? You're starting with Zelda 2?
And like I said, I didn't know any better, and it shows that I learned through that. My next game was Kung Fu.
You went to Kung Fu
3 minutes or 4 minutes.
I was gonna ask, is that like was the jump to Kung Fu because you went, holy shit, This Zelda game is very long and hard. I need something a little more short and
Absolutely got it.
yeah, okay. I'd always wondered if that was like we need to pull back here a little bit.
Oh yes, absolutely. And Kung Fu happened to be another. Kung Fu was the only game I could beat as a kid. Like Kung Fu was my go-to. Like, hey guys, you want to see what I can do? Look, I can beat Kung Fu, and I put the card in the console because it was the game that I could on call beat. So it was a logical next choice, and it was short, and it's a fun little game, and it was my first. So Zelda 2, I was regurgitating what others people said about the game.
Yeah.
And in Kung Fu, I learned what goes into routing games. I wasn't when I did Kung Fu, I didn't actually route anything. I was still just regurgitating strategies, but I understood why they did the things. Kung Fu was short enough that I could get an understanding of, oh, this is what RNG is. Like, I didn't know what everybody was talking about. This is what frames mean, and this is what, and because it was so simple, I could grasp onto the concept. So it was really, Kung Fu was a really good game to get into, and it kind of shaped me as a speedrunner and as someone that likes to develop strategies and that problem solving, and this happens like this, so we do this, and this is the outcome, and we could start to dissect things. That started with Kung Fu.
The way that you approach video games to me, see, I'm a game developer. So the way that I hear you talk about video games is the way that I think about them when I'm creating them. So like, I know that you have been involved with game development before because you and your brother created a climbing game a number of years back. How do you think, like, do you think that sort of helped you, or do you think that the speed running actually helped you kind of develop senses more that I feel like you would probably be a pretty good game developer with how you look at games at this point and how you dissect them and into this minutia and all of this nuance. Do you feel that way at all about yourself in that you look at video games from like a video game developer point of view a lot of the time?
And I always did. I always did. I think the video game developer side of it, I mean, before I ever really did any like speed running kind of stuff, you know, we did that climbing video game, Solo Joe, is I think 15 years old. Wow. And I had that mindset, I think, very, very early on. I can remember the little bits of time that I spent playing games with friends, which was very small. I grew up in a very rural town. There wasn't really that many people here, and not that many people that nerded out on video games like I did. Most of them were like farm kids, and they rode four-wheelers and went hunting. You know, that was my group around my age. So video games were more, you know, shout out to the nerds, you know what I mean? Yeah. So when I did play video games, I don't think people liked to play with me because even at a young age, I would be like, yeah, but why did that happen? How could we do that better? Like I was already doing that. So I think that was, it's more a shout out to my personality than anything that I developed over time. I have no problem repeating the same thing for 5 hours straight. I get more enjoyment out of the dissecting and understanding of what's going on than completing a game. I was never that big. And when I did complete a game, it was always the completionist side of it. Like I always wanted to, well, I have to do everything and I have to understand everything. It's like, if I don't do, I would get into games like some of my favorites that aren't retro or like the Elder Scrolls games, you know, started with Morrowind and Oblivion and those games. And I had to do everything. And those games were bugged out where like,
oh God, a
quest would come up and you couldn't get rid of it. And I would just stare at the screen and go,
why is it like that?
No. So I have to restart the whole character
the whole
over.
Damn file.
Yep. So these are things that have plagued me forever.
But I think that like something else that I've noticed though is I think that this really, to me, I see a way that all of this also ties to some of your other hobbies, including beer brewing, in that there's a level of nuance that you approach games with that when I watch your beer brewing streams, it's like, oh, this guy just is always thinking like this, because with beer brewing, there is so much minutia to everything that you have to do in that process to know what you're making, to like know what it's going to taste like, to know what kind of like alcohol content, hops and all that. Like, and I feel that like, oh, this guy is just always thinking like this, and like you being a brewer makes so much sense in that context when I kind of framed it through knowing you as a video game player at first.
Yeah, it's like a good parallel for people that aren't familiar with brewing is cooking. It's what goes into understanding cooking and all of the, what the flavors do. And I'm not I like to cook, but I don't know as much about it. But yeah, I nerd out over everything that I do. If I'm going to do something, I'm doing it 150% to an annoying level. My wife gets annoyed with me because I can't just do things like, why can't you just have fun with it, this thing a little bit? It's like, no, if I'm going to get into it, I'm going to get into it hard. And that's kind of what I do. And it's uncontrollable. There's no other option.
There's a compulsion in you to always kind of
has that same mental state. But that's just the way that I approach. It's the same thing with people that speed run everyday life.
Yes.
Like how many people have tried to see how efficiently they can unload the dishwasher.
Right. Like we've all done stupid little things like this. It's just you would you would have an entire fucking method on how to do this, and you would practice it over a course of 5 months.
Yes. For sure, I would. Well, it's like, and Arcus did it well. We were talking about speedrunning burritos earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of us have that kind of baked in. It's the need to optimize. It actually spilled out into the career choice. I mean, like when I finished high school, I was 10 years as a machinist in a steel shop. I ran a turret lathe machine. And I did it for a lot of years, and I'm glad I got out of it when I did, because I still have all of these. It was a real shitty job when it comes to for what I want to do with my life, but it allowed me to flex that optimization. It was a piece rate job. The more parts that you made, the more money you made. So the faster and more efficient you could make things, the more money you would make. And I spilled my personality into that job, and I was really successful at it. But that just goes to show it also is just the approach that I approach everything. It's just my personality.
That's awesome. Also, I didn't start drinking beer until I started watching your stream, by the way. So
my life is complete.
I hated beer, growing up, even when I wasn't supposed to be drinking. Like I could never drink beer. It's just I hate this. But then it's just like, well, what if you drink something that's not piss water? What if you go find something that's like interesting? So I found
there's so many varieties.
I found a really nice pumpkin ale shortly after I started watching you, and I just bought it, and it was just like, wait a minute. Beer can be good? What is this nonsense? Yeah. And like I never ever would have tried beer again had I not started watching your streams, just because it comes up so much, because it is a passion of yours. And so that's something that's something else that I got from your stream, and that I can enjoy beer now because I know to just buy good beer. Like you'll pay a little bit of a premium for it, but it is worth it.
And there's so many, again, back to that parallel of cooking. There's so many things. We talked about chili a lot in the stream, but like you could eat a really, really spicy chili and be like, I don't like chili. It's too spicy. It's like, but that's not chili. Like there's a lot of kinds of chili. Just find one that works for you. Or, you may even be able to, for me, making beer, I can just change it to what I like about beer. I don't like beer that has a lot of alcohol in it. I just don't.
Yeah.
I like to be able to drink 6 beers.
Yeah.
Have them have a lot of alcohol, because being honest, I don't really care to be drunk. I don't like it that much. The drunk part of it is not at all. Or I would rather be able to have more beer, because I just like the carbonation, the flavor, the feeling
aroma,
that you get,
like the tickling of the nose.
Every time you take a drink, there's that subtle euphoric drinking beer, the things that you have with your friends while you're drinking, all the things that go along with it, I could do without the drunk part. Now, I do like a little bit of the alcohol in there. I probably wouldn't do non-alcoholic beer, but I can brew beer that has a lower alcohol content because I get to choose what goes into it, which is it's just fun when you get that level of control.
Yeah, like that. I like seeing people brew beer is like one of those things that's just like that's so. You are a crazy scientist. You might as be. You are like.
It does feel a lot like chemistry.
You get to be Walter White in your own basement. It's great. It's a Breaking Bad. I don't know if you've ever seen Breaking Bad, but
I have. I watched. Did I watch all of Breaking Bad? Here's a stupid thing that I do. So I watch a show that'll come out. And I think when Breaking Bad came out, I didn't watch it at all. And there was like 3 seasons. And I was like, oh, this is good. Binge watched the 3 seasons. And then I went, I'm not going to
jump in,
watch anymore until there's more to watch.
Yeah.
So I wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and then I waited it out. And it's like Walking Dead. I think I'm 3 seasons into Walking Dead. I may never finish it. It's been finished for 10 years,
a long time.
I don't know. Yeah. TV shows are weird especially with kids. There's very little that we can watch unless it's after the kids go to bed.
Absolutely cannot watch Breaking Bad with the kiddos. I don't think that wouldn't be that wouldn't be wise. No. So, hey, I hear that you play games and you play them flawlessly. I hear that's a thing that you've become known for, and it's one of the main reasons I kind of wanted to talk to you, because I think that this is such a crazy project, because I think a lot of people look at NES games and they go, oh, it's NES hard, it's impossible, and I think that I think that speedrunning doesn't do a great job of showing people that these games are possible. I think what you do with Flawlessness actually is a much better barometer for how people can approach these games and come to understand them more.
Very true. I mean, so the switch from speedrunning to no hits or no damage or flawless or whatever we want to call it was by chance. So the shit that's happened on my stream has been just by chance. Yeah. This one was, I think I was learning Mega Man. This is just something that was brought up in the stream the other day, and I would have said you're wrong, but Weeblo of Doom brought it up on the stream, and he has no reason to. It was him that started this Ninja Gaiden thing. So he said I was learning the speedrun of Mega Man, and I've been learning it for like 2 hours that day, and he challenged me to see how good I could get at Ninja Gaiden, which was one of his favorite games, in a short period of time. The challenge had no time. It's just like short period. So we slowly developed it. It was a 90-day challenge. Okay, it was going to be 90 days.
Yes.
And then it was going to be how close could I get to Arcus's record, and all of the stuff was in 90 days, and it became the 90-day challenge, which I kept up for 3 or 4 years. I did a 90-day challenge every year. So that was the first one, and during that 90-day challenge, it was asked if you could beat Ninja Gaiden without damage, and then it was the whole spiel about the demon head and all of these things that were unknown. But it was like, wait a minute, but the demon head can be killed, but you can't do it because it can't be, but it can. But no, it's still impossible because if you did it at the end, it would be too hard, and all of this stuff. And I was like, well, on paper, it is possible. You can do everything except for the head, but there is a way of killing the head. So I started practicing the demon head and was able to put together that run. And we had a short, Paulie and I had a short chat about 5 minutes before we went live here. And I started getting into talking to other people and how difficult it is to line up this interview that we have. Sometimes you reach out to somebody and they don't respond. And I always like working with other people. After I finished that run, posted the video on YouTube, and here it was like a month later, and it had 200 views or something. It's just what people weren't seeing it.
Yeah.
So I mass emailed, I don't know, 20 or 30 different people, and just put it out there for anybody that I could get an email address for, be like, hey, look what I did. I want people to know about it. And the only person that responded was Carl Jobst.
Wow.
And he did that Ninja Gaiden video, and there
Blew
went
up.
that was and it went. That was, I remember with, it was so cool. For 4 or 5 days after that video happened, I listened to my computer through these earbuds and in the speaker. I would unplug the speaker because my wolf howl for a new follower
because it kept going
would go off. For like 4 days. I would be out in the garage and it would just go off. I think I gained like 3,500 or 4,000 followers in those 4 days. It was the coolest shit. I was so happy.
That's good. Like you
cool.
literally went viral. So I'm gonna like we will continue talking, but I'm gonna pop up a video of the demon head kill and you doing this. I put together a little bit of a thing here for it. So we're gonna go away and we're just kind of watching this. But it kind of like, for those that don't understand what we mean when we're talking about the demon head kill and actually beating this game without damage, could you kind of like go over that a bit?
Okay, so the demon's head is, you see the final boss here. That demon's head that I kill, it is a lot like the heart and the tail of the demon. It can be killed. It has hit points. And for a long time, I don't think anybody really knew that. The demon's head falls off and it hits you if you don't kill it. And that was the unavoidable hit. Everyone just figured you couldn't get past that part of the game. There was a bunch of YouTube videos of people playing through the game without taking damage, but getting hit by this head. You'll see it'll fall off, it rolls at you. I was able to kill it because in Ninja Gaiden, there is a limitation to how fast you can stab based off of the animation of the character. Well, if you press down when you stab, you cancel the animation, and all of a sudden you're not limited to how fast you can stab anymore. The limitation becomes how fast you can actually press the buttons. And if you're familiar at all with the speedrun, you'll know that, people do this mashing technique that you can see. My hands are holding controller odd, and I'm pressing down to cancel the stab with one hand and then moving with the other. But we realized that you could actually kill the demon's head, and still everyone thought that damageless would be impossible because there would be no way that you could get through the whole game and without damage and then get there and do that demon head kill. To guarantee that you kill the demon's head, you pretty much your high limit of presses is 15 presses per second. God. So you have to be able to press the button really, really fast. Now, you can get an extra stab on the ground. If we're watching right now, this kill gets a stab on the ground.
Yep.
You'll see that my feet touch the ground before
and you get the low
stab.
stab. Yeah.
That's not guaranteed because it depends on how far you are away from the demon's head, and also whatever your cadence is when you stop. It's just not guaranteed. The lowest amount, at 12 presses per second, you can get that ground stab and still kind of get lucky. Which is what happened here. I'll never know how fast my mash was here.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere between 12 and 15 presses is fast enough to kill the head before it hits you. But we even got Arcus to say, yeah, it's possible, but he says, no, it's still technically impossible because no one's ever going to do it.
No, that's insane.
So I spent 3 months working on just the head
demon
kill.
Head kill. Yeah.
Just the head kill. I had about 3 months of practice while I was doing other shit. While I was doing the speed run. Yeah. And I said, if I could get to the point where I could 1 out of every 20 tries ish, I could kill the head. I would route it for damageless. And to be honest with you, the run itself, the full run up to the demon's head without damage, it's really not that bad.
No, it's a very Ninja Gaiden. From like watching you go through that game and do the flawless run, you learn how manageable that game is if you memorize a bit, you work on your reactions a little bit. That game
understand more about how the game works too.
It's so doable.
Yeah, and that's what happens. You were talking, I mean, we kind of got on this because of the whole flawless project. This is what started it.
Yeah.
You know, this is what started beating games without damage. And I've went on to beat a ton of NES games now. And the common, you know, the overwhelming common thing that they all have is you can make them easier. All of these games, there are ways to make them easier. You talk about Ninja Gaiden, a little bit of memorization, knowing where enemies spawn, knowing where you can and can't stand, knowing a little bit of how the randomness in the game is created, maybe taking a little bit of time to make something a little bit easier. All of these tools that we have, you can really make games easier. But what has brought retro back to the focal point of you know, gamers, retro gamers, is speedrunning. And these are things that in speedrunning we can't do. There's such a contrast between no damage and speedrunning. Speedrunning, you are locked into what is fastest. So with a speedrun, you could say, well, what's the strategy here? Well, it's this is the strategy. This is the fastest way to do this. And with damage lists, it's like, whoa. We can do whatever we want. You're not tied to a clock. So you can really expand the thought process into limitless possibilities. You're limited by the game design.
What the game is designed, the way the game is designed,
But you're not tunneled into what is fastest. You're tunneled into maybe what is safest, but there could be 10 different ways to do something safe. So it unshackles the player. You can approach it however you find that fits best for you. And that's what I love about routing games that way. You're not forced into, well, I hate this strategy, but I have to do it.
I remember, like that's when I finally clicked for me. Is like I remember you were when you started Contra, and that is a game that I speedrun, and I remember throwing out some things in chat, and you were just like, well, I could do that, but like it's easy for me to recommend doing that because I play this game all the time. I speedrun it in this way. This is a strat that will work probably 100% of the time for me, maybe not for you. And it was like, I get it now. It's not like that's when I kind of unshackled myself from the timer, because like for the long time you kept the timer up. And I think that always kind of like messed with people. I was like, well, it's not really a speed run. You're just kind of timing it for funsies. And that was kind of like my moment. It was just like, oh, okay, it's a game that I know in and out intimately. So now I get why you're approaching it today and why you're not going to do this, even though I think that it's like the easier, faster way. It's not safe. So it's just like you need to do.
And there's that curve of like, well, how much time do I want to put into it to learn it? So sometimes, like for example, there are things in Contra that speedruns do that are like 100%.
Yeah.
But you had to build a little bit of muscle memory, or you had to learn the game. And I say it all the time. What's the quote is, I don't want to get better at the game. I want to make the game easier. Like I don't want to take the time to get better at the game, because a lot of that takes a lot of time. And once you get it, absolutely, it's easy. You know, it's exactly the thing to do. But if you don't want to take the time, there may be a just as easy of a strategy that you can just do. It's the, I could kill this guy every time with this jumping stab, or I could wait a second and a half and turn around and make him disappear.
Yep. It's all
like one of them's really easy. It's slower, and you have to really kind of disconnect from this idea of
like
the speed running.
We're all kind of tied into speed running. I think most of us did get into retro because we started speed running. So it's just like getting trying to get other people to see that mindset, and also break yourself out of old habits for games that you already know.
Yeah.
Like how often is that a problem where it's just like, you know this game already, you've played it a lot and you've speed ran it or whatever. How hard is it for you to break those habits for games that you already know?
Unlearning muscle memory is the worst. It's the worst. I would much rather develop muscle memory than having to unlearn it.
Yeah.
You've ever, speedrunners do it. We learn a strategy and then a new one comes out, and for the next 3 dozen runs, you get to that spot and you just fall right back into the thing that you're like, damn it, I don't do this here. But we get into the point where we're just running off of muscle memory. We're on autopilot so much in speedrunning, and unlearning things is really tricky to do. I would rather never have to unlearn something. So it's tricky to decide what to learn. But I tell you, the other part of the flawless games that is so appealing, and this is the one that I normally sell the most people on when it comes to doing these, is speedrunning is a never-ending thing.
Yeah.
When you could get a record, someone will break it, a new strategy will come out.
Yep.
You will always be doing that, and there's never that culminating moment where you're like, I have done it. You do get it. Like,
yeah, you can get world records, but there's always a better time. There could always be new strategies, things of that nature. Yeah.
So it's just always hanging there. And with a flawless game, people ask me, it's like, well, you're going to go back and do this, or you're going to do
why
this? It's like, no, I've done it. I've accomplished it. It is such a good feeling to put that accomplishment on a shelf and be done with it. There is a satisfaction in the completing of a project that I didn't realize I needed, and I didn't realize I wasn't getting from speedrunning. You don't get it.
That makes so much sense. I'd never actually thought about the whole like playing flawless games, and that it's something where you can actually be done. You can say you did your best because you literally did it flawlessly. That's incredible.
And you could do it with like a speedrunning. Like, I have a goal of beating. I want to get a sub 12 in Castlevania. You have that goal, but be honest with yourself. Once you get that goal, you're like, you're gonna go faster.
You're gonna want it more.
I could go a little faster.
Yeah.
It never gives you that satisfaction. But when you set a goal to beat a game without damage, and you complete it, you don't have that tugging saying, well, I could do it faster.
I could do better.
It doesn't exist. You've completed it, and you can cleanly and freely move on to another challenge. And then you could look back at that and be like, well, it's like you talk about Contra. I've done a no-hit playthrough of Contra. I couldn't beat it right now if I started it, but I beat it without damage. I did it once, and I was able to close the book on that challenge and move on. And I think that above all has been my favorite part of the flawlessness and the no-hit challenges, for sure.
And the cool thing about all of these challenges too is I think that, like, because you stream every bit of the process, we come along with you for that, and then like we get invested as the viewer. I think like when you finally nail that Ninja Gaiden damageless run, like, even though I wasn't there for that stream, I lived the one damn stream that I miss is the first, like the one that you do it on. When I'm watching that VOD, I've been there on that 3-month journey watching those streams every morning. So when I finally got around to watching that VOD, I literally just jumped out of my chair.
Yeah.
It was such a hype moment. And it's always like that when you finish one of these, like, release the goddamn doves, let's go.
Doves, it's over. A lot of times it's because it's over. We did it. We don't have to do it anymore. Because everyone goes through it with these speed runs and stuff. They are hard, and they're not always fun, and the resets, and it's like this hike that I went on that was a terrible hike, but I will remember it. We remember the accomplishments in speedrunning and stuff because they're difficult. And to get to the end, and I like how you said it, we do it together. And that's, I mean, why do we stream?
Yeah.
We stream to share. We stream to share in what we're doing, our experiences, and the joys of what's going on. So I love that part of it. And that was the part, like I said before, that I just kind of stumbled into. And the neat ending to that is I didn't start because of it, but it is that keeps me going. I wouldn't do it anymore. I wouldn't do these challenges in anything if it wasn't for live streaming now. I got past that point in my life where mentally I needed something that was for me, you know, with the kids and stuff like that. This is 6 years later. I'm over that. You know, I'm over that hump of being a new dad. Like, my kids, they're old enough that we talk and we go play in the woods and go hiking, and they're doing sports and stuff. They're no longer screaming babies.
Yeah.
Like, 3 screaming babies is over. I don't need that me time anymore.
Yeah.
But I still do it now because of the chat, because of the community. It is that reason now why I keep doing it, which is really pretty awesome. Because I didn't ever expect it.
And I think you do so much to like keep your stream fun and keep people engaged. Like you are constantly like, this dude's layout is insane. Like he has like little, like his entire stream is basically an arcade game that you can play while he's playing games, and you do so much work on your layout. It's all done in Game Maker. Like when I saw that you worked in Game Maker, I remember tuning in the first time to see you work. Hey, I make games in Game Maker, so I like watching this stream and I know what you're doing.
Do you use the new Game Maker 2?
I still mostly use 1.4. I still mostly use 1.4.
Yeah, so do I.
I just like I just like the interface more. You can get Game Maker 2 for free now, and I think that it does offer a lot of very cool things. But I'm still just mostly used to the interface in 1.4. And like when I get in, I just make small little arcade type games that you throw on and have fun with. So I don't want to sit here and like wrap my head around an interface I don't know. I want to get in, start making a thing that's tangible so that I can feel excited about it and driven to finish it. So that's why I use Game Maker 1.4. But yeah,
it's
like
exact same reason why I do.
You've got like all of these games that people can play, and like there's so many ways that people can have fun. Like Kid Puncher.
Yeah, Kid Puncher 5000. So the nice thing is I'm looking in chat here, and we've got Jagard and Jodosh, and then we had, I believe, I'm looking up here to see if Joe Kerr popped in, because the reason why I'm saying that is all of that shit that's on the overlay. I didn't come up with it. Someone in chat did.
Yeah.
Jagard. Jagard in chat right now asked me one day. He said, there's Joker right there. Well, Joker is the tomatoes that you throw at the screen. I believe that kind of was spawned from Joker thinking that when someone does something on the stream, we can shame them.
Yeah.
And then we can put them in a stockade and we can throw tomatoes at them. And that's at a live streamer, I'm like, well, I don't want to pick fun at chat. No, Chat's supposed to pick fun at me. That's what we do. So I turned that idea into you guys being able to throw tomatoes at the screen. And that's where that started. Jagard asked me a question in the stream one day. He said, how long, I believe this is it, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, how long could you survive waves of 8-year-olds, I believe? How long could you survive waves of 8-year-olds before they would eventually overwhelm you? 5 at a time or something like that. How many rounds? I can't remember what it was. And the idea was, well, eventually you would injure your hands from like punching the 8-year-olds to death. Like eventually your body would wear out. You would get tired. Like you could fend off waves of them for probably hours, maybe. I don't know. But I'm like, well, so how long? Like how many punches could I go before I broke a hand? Well, maybe 100, 200 punches, or like maybe you'd start using elbows. Like, and this conversation went off the rails for hours, and it turned into the Kid Puncher game. So the Kid Puncher game was like, let's have a game on the screen where you can punch kids, but it needed to be something fun for chat. So we took Kung Fu, and now you've got the Kung Fu character, and the little green guys in Kung Fu are smaller. They look like little kids. And we made a game where they run out onto the screen and they have letters above their heads. And if you're the first person in chat to decipher the word puzzle, write it into chat. The kids will line up, spell the word. You will walk in from the side as Thomas, and they will walk at you, and you'll punch them all in the face. And they fly around the screen, and you gain points through punching the kids. That was all made like in a day because of Jagard's question.
That is insane.
That's the kind of part of streaming.
That's the organic stuff that like all of this stuff isn't on your stream just because you like I
don't come up with any of it.
It's all organic, the way everything that's come together in your stream. And it always feels like it just launches out from like a silly would you rather, or just somebody will just
the buckets versus spoons.
The buckets versus spoons. Like, what the hell? Like, it's just the dumbest thing when you hear it out of context. What do you mean buckets versus spoons? Take it outside, you know? So
oh
like,
my gosh.
But those are the things that like they organically spawn from your community, and like everybody, it feels like everybody, like your stream is, in a way, it's kind of just this thing where I look at my own community where it's like, it's not a me thing. It never was about me. It's just like this cool thing that we've all kind of put a fun energy into. It's just you kind of happen to be at the head of the table.
Exactly. You're just facilitating the community. I mean, we find ourselves now, the community has moved. So we have a yearly Minecraft server where parts of the community will go do dumb things over here. And it's not my stream anymore. We're just getting together. We do a movie night, which we just did on Friday, where a group of us get together and we just watch movies and talk shit while the movie's playing. It's the same group. We've just, the live stream allowed for the development of the community, and then from there we take it wherever. Really, it's just keeping that the live stream is just keeping the community together, and that's why I stream every morning. Is it's like, good morning, everybody. Let's have some coffee. Let's talk. What are we going to get ourselves into today? with a theme of, we still play Nintendo a lot, but like, we never know what's going to happen.
Like, you never know what silly dumb thing is going to pop up, and hey, look, we're celebrating Burt Gummer Day. Why not?
Yeah, and we did.
And you do.
We watch
all the Tremors movies. Yeah.
We've got one that I'm trying to work out. I want to do suggestion box. I don't remember what it's for. Someone said a suggestion. No, they were talking about a suggestion box at their work or something like that. I'm like, we need one here where people can. I want to allow people to put suggestions into a suggestion box on the stream. We'll do an animation for it and everything, so people will know when suggestions go in there. And at the end, I read the suggestions. So it's like you end the stream by reading the suggestions. I can only imagine the dumb things that we'll get into that. But those are where the ideas come from. Not all of them work. We've had some really fun ideas that just didn't work out, or an idea that I forget. Like, I may, 2 weeks from now, I'll forget about the suggestion box thing and it'll never happen.
Sometimes it's just like,
but maybe
it's in the moment. Like, you kind of just let things happen organically. You don't force things, because I think that's when it sort of just becomes annoying and people kind of feel like it's not coming honest. And it's just like, that's never been the case with anything that I've ever, experienced on your stream. Not to like kiss your ass or anything. It's just, I just always feel that like everything that happens in your community is really organic and fun. And it's always been like, it just comes from a place that's really honest and like an innate desire to be harmlessly silly at all times. And that is my jam.
Wow, write that down. I'm gonna get that tattooed on my butt. What was that? An innate desire to be harmlessly silly.
Yes.
Oh,
that is my life's motto. That is what I like. I always want to like inject that kind of silliness into everything that I do, and that's that's why I've always vibed with your stream. Is that's always what I've gotten from it. It's just like, yeah, this guy gets it. This guy is somebody that likes to have fun. Somebody that knows fun.
Absolutely, because really, it takes so much effort to be dicks,
right?
You think about people. I wonder why people. It must feel really good. I mean, I don't often. I'm not. I mean, I'll be mean. Like, I pick fun on Joker a lot in the streamer. Matt D's mom gets a lot of hate. Matt D's mom.
But that's in good fun. You're not trying. Like, I imagine if somebody said, "Hey, like, could you chill for a sec?" I imagine you wouldn't have a problem backing off. Like, right?
It's actually that's actually happened a number of times, like, and I have no problem. Yeah. But and it's because again, but there are people out there that do it to be dicks, and I can only assume that there's like a big payoff for that, because it's hard, and it seems there's a lot of energy that has to go into being a troll. I just don't understand that.
I don't understand how people can be angry all the time. I don't understand how people just want to be dicks all the time. Like, it's just my brain. And I think that I'm just glad. I think I'm glad that my brain can't wrap itself around that mindset, because I don't want to know.
Yeah, I think we're fortunate. Yeah.
I don't want to know. Like, I'd rather just be over here. I'm the person that's going to laugh at the fart sounds. Thank you. I'm the one that's going to make you make a Britney Spears intro command. about farting.
Yeah. Wow, I haven't heard. Does that not work? It must not work.
It either doesn't work or I just keep forgetting to use it because it's harder for me to chat a lot of the times.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
I'm gonna have to try it next time you're streaming. I'm gonna have to see if we got that still in there.
Yeah, we got to do it because that was one that I remember and it just hasn't.
Yeah.
But that's also the great thing about it too. Like things will come in waves. You know, it's like I'll hear that a bunch, and then all of a sudden, something I haven't heard in 2 years will come back, and it'll be like, I forgot all about that.
I can't remember if it's like if it's exclamation poly or polyhead at this point. I can't remember now.
I don't either.
We'll have
to probably.
We'll figure it out.
Look.
We'll figure it out.
But I like little things like Sassy McPhee in the chat just said, if it wasn't for Slack, I wouldn't be 845 years old. I don't know, Sassy. Where did that start? Where did Friday being Sassy's birthday start?
Sassy's
it may
birthday.
have just been that it was your birthday was Friday, and I said, "Oh, Friday is your birthday," and then I put it in. I think I put it in the announcement.
In the announcement,
Friday is Sassy's birthday, and then I left the announcement.
Just left
there.
it like it's just always Sassy's birthday. Reminds me of
on Friday.
Reminds me back on the original Xbox. They had a game called Phantasy Star Online, and they stopped supporting it, but they stopped supporting it in the middle of Christmas, so it was just eternally Christmas. Anytime you logged on to the game, it was real good.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff. I think that what you really have to do is you just have to lean into it.
Oh, absolutely.
You just lean into it and you just take it wherever it'll let you go. And it's just like you kind of follow that. And if you're following along with the way that it's just naturally going, you almost can't miss sometimes. It seems like everything just seems to work out.
I think that like when it's crowdsourced like that and everybody's in on it, throwing ideas and like everybody, again, like the stream gets to feel like it's something that everybody has a part in creating. And that's an amazing feeling. Like that just feels awesome as a viewer, and as a creator, like both sides benefit. That we were talking about mutually beneficial. I think that is like one of the mutually beneficial parts of streaming, in that like when you can have that kind of energy with your audience and that like everybody's kind of collaborative in this way.
And you know something that I think is also maybe a benefit of mine. Is that you talk about people that try too hard.
Yeah.
So if you're a streamer and stuff, you're really trying to do what you think is popular or whatever in a stream. I think a benefit that I have in not having the time. Once I'm done streaming, my 5 or 6 hours a day is, I'm live streaming. That's what I'm doing. This is my game time. This is my me time, friend time, live streaming. That's when I'm done with that, I close the door to this office, and I a lot of times don't even come back in here. I'm dad. I'm cooking dinner. I'm mowing the lawn. I'm doing all of those other things. I don't watch other streams. I think I think I was in Ugly Owl's stream 4 or 5 days ago for 10 minutes. No, maybe it was Professor Retro that said it's weird to have Slack in a chat.
You were like
because I never get that. But that also is a benefit. I don't know what it's like to be a viewer in streams. I don't have that. I don't know. So when I can't try too hard because I don't know what it's like. I'm just being a live streamer. I'm so much more familiar with being live than I am with viewing. So I just do what happens. I don't have a preconceived idea of what a streamer should do.
Sure.
I'm not trying to fit into a mold because I don't know. I don't watch streamers enough to have an idea of what that should be.
You can't pull from somebody else's ideas because you literally don't know what anybody else is doing. I don't know. I mean, for better or worse, but again, I think everybody understands you being a family man and having so much of your, you are a responsible, mature adult. The responsible, mature adults that talk about butt sweat at the start of a stream. It's fine.
A lot. Well, we've got our emote is for morning butthole.
Yeah, morning butthole.
That's the start of every day. Again, another thing that started.
Just pops in chat. It's just like, well, we're going down this road.
Weevil of Doom decided he wanted to call me a different name every time he came in. I display it now. I've got a different name. You never know what he's going to do. One morning, his name was Butthole, but he wrote in chat, morning butthole. I didn't read it as someone saying good morning butthole. I read it as
adjective.
An affliction.
Yeah, adjective noun, like morning butthole. He's got a case of morning butthole. You
can have a case of morning butthole, just like morning breath. And we have ran with that.
Yeah,
we're way too far into that. Man.
Oh, so many good. Y'all are missing out if you're not following Slack. I'm telling you, like his streams are an absolute blast. Get in there. Like,
and one of the things that I find is a downside to having as many of these inside jokes and stuff is I wonder if the stream is a bit intimidating.
Oh, it can be a little esoteric, yeah.
For people that come in, they're like, I don't get all this, and then they leave because they don't know.
That can be. I think that can but I think that you've done a good enough. I think that your personality does a good enough job, in that you will literally stop and explain anything. Anybody asks, whether it is about an emote, whether it is about a game strat, whether it is just like any little thing on your layout, you are that guy that is more than like it's people like you that got me into speedrunning anyway, because I remember I never felt that I could speedrun. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to do that. And I remember stopping by Angry Lanx's stream. He was the first streamer that I really started.
Well, because of Contra. That makes sense.
And I remember asking him about a strat, and he just like stopped his run, reset his NES, and showed it to me. And that was just something that stuck with me. Like, that's cool as hell. I can do that. Like, and then I just started speedrunning from there. So yeah, like I think that the way that you do engage your viewers, while the outside optics of the stream may be a bit intimidating at first, I think that you're very good at pulling people in when they when they cast that line out and try to get your attention, say, hey, what's this thing? You're very good at grabbing the hook and being like, all right, I got you, homie. And then you hook them right up.
And that comes from that first video, Lord of Ultima, explaining a run. Because up until that point, it didn't seem accessible. And then as soon as that, I had that saying, the more you know, the more fun you'll have while you're playing the game, while you're watching the stream, because that happened to me. And that's where the whole explanation thing comes from. If it wasn't for that explanation, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So you never know when that's going to have that effect on somebody else.
Yeah, and I think that has been I think that that's a large part of why you retain viewers, is because the ones that do reach out and ask the question, like not everybody is going to feel comfortable to do that, but the ones that do, I think that you do a good enough job of pulling them into your world and making them still feel like a part of it, even though that they just got there, whether it's by explaining a game mechanic or explaining one of the jokes. You're very good at making people feel welcome in that environment. So I think that's really like a big part of your appeal and why you are able to retain and continue growth.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird. I mean, with I don't think any of us will ever understand Twitch in the way that it works. Because you'll have this moment, and I think it's because I try to explain. You gotta imagine my father, who is a farmer through and through. You used to call it the damn Nintendo. It has no idea what I'm doing, and I try to explain it to him, but it's really hard to grasp the ebb and flow of people. Yeah, because you get people that get really excited and they watch the stream and they're every day for a year, and you're like, I will see this person every day forever now, and then they disappear and they come back 2 years later. What? Where did you go? So it's difficult to you maintain the viewers as best as you can, but I wish if you ever been asked a question, you go to heaven, the pearly gates, and whoever's there, whatever his name is, Ted.
It's Ted.
And he's like, I'll answer any question you ever have. My question is going to be, how the fuck does Twitch work? Please, could you tell me how the algorithm works?
That dude's literally he's got to have a 418-day seminar for your ass.
Because it's so beyond me. Right? And we talk about understanding video games and understanding how coding works and stuff. I have a good understanding of how things work. I still to this day
Where do
have
you start?
no idea of how the growth works and how you can be successful in live streaming. Because you see, and I get so many questions from new streamers like, well, we have any suggestions for what to do and stuff. It's like, I can give you some suggestions, but roll the die, see what I've seen some people, and I don't like to talk bad about people, but
Sure.
I've seen some people with live streams where I go, I don't understand why anybody watches your stream. I don't get it. But good for you.
Yeah.
And then I see some people be like, why is this not full of everybody?
Right.
Why is everybody not here watching this person? Because they're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I never will understand Twitch. I just won't understand it. It is this weird thing.
Yeah, I gave up trying to understand anything having to do with that ages ago. It's just like, look, I'm just going to press the button here and do the thing that I do. And if people want to stop by and hang out, I'm happy to engage. But
Absolutely.
In terms of like ever understanding, like I've had people ask, because I've been doing podcasts and streams and everything here. I've been doing this since 2014. And people ask me like, well, what do I do? It's like, fuck if I know, guy. Press the go live button and do your best. Go,
right.
My only thing is just
you
like,
do
dude,
anything.
Dude, just have fun. You will find somebody out there that is going to be into what you're doing. Because even you started somewhere. You started in that chat room with like one or two people talking to you. Like we all start there. It's just, I don't know how to, I'm not going to be the one to be able to tell you how to get any bigger other than just like, dude, do it because it's fun. And somebody's gonna find it.
You can do anything. You poop in a bucket.
There
if
you
you're
go.
having
Poop
fun.
in a bucket. Like, why not?
Do it.
There
You
may be some TOS issues there you might have to overcome.
All right.
But
yeah, that you're right. So maybe just don't do that one.
I mean, you could
That's
probably
that's
like
the one that's off limits.
if the bucket isn't visible, maybe they won't. Like maybe if you like you are maybe if you make it clear that you are pooping in a bucket, you know, face the. I think Slack's dying over here.
So
Stop thinking
I just
about
thought of
pooping
an
in a
idea.
bucket. Oh, we got an idea.
Have a live stream where it's just your
top half,
the upper part of your body, and then make facial expressions, and the chat has to try to guess what you're doing.
Oh my
Could
God.
be pooping in a bucket. That's a segment that could be funny.
Pooping in a bucket.
And just imagine, like, all right, chat, ready? What am I doing?
Oh my God. The best answer wins.
Yeah, okay.
You're playing Batman.
No. I'm pretend knitting and learning how to do. Oh,
that's really good.
And then I'm. Yeah. That's how you
pretend.
Could be a fun segment. You know, you never know what they're doing.
Okay,
off
so
camera.
okay, yeah, that was really good. That was good knitting. Now show us pooping in a bucket.
No.
No, just hard no. My contract does not.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. That was something else.
I think chat really wants you to poop in a bucket, though. Hey, chat, give me a 1 if you want to see Slack poop in a bucket. Look at this.
No.
Look at them go. Look at them go, Slack. They're pressing 1 in the chat. Look at them go.
You missed out on an opportunity. You said 1. It should have been 2.
Shit. Man.
Number 2. Yep.
Man, it's Sunday
now
morning.
I'm not gonna do it. I was
you know what? I think
was considering it.
I deserve that. Yeah, that's on me. I botched that, y'all.
It is.
Everybody,
you were gonna have to live with that.
Boo me,
now,
everybody.
Forever.
I want the entire chat to boo me. I deserve that. I'm usually on my game when it comes to poop jokes, and I'm just. I'm the one. I deserve tomatoes. I deserve tomatoes. I deserve to be laughed at. I deserve it. I'm not even gonna pull out an umbrella and stop it. You just.
No. What was? That's one of the. Let's talk a little bit more about game development. I feel like we're leaning too heavy into pooping in buckets and not far enough into that direction.
Let's pull it back in.
So what is one of your favorite parts of game development? What part of it is like one of the more satisfying parts.
You know, honestly, the thing that gets me going and the thing that keeps me inspired is just getting something on screen and making it controllable or whatever. Like the first, like that to me, like a game idea just pops into my head, and the first thing I do is I rush to Game Maker and I just throw some shapes into the sprite maker, and I'm just like, all right. Now I throw some movement code in. It's like once I have a thing on screen and I have a feel for how it's going to move or what I want to do, that's when I genuinely start feeling more satisfied. Like, okay, it's tangible. The moment that a game idea becomes tangible and I start getting the pieces together that start feeling like, oh, this starts to feel like a game now that I've got this mechanic working. Those are the things that like when you start feeling it come together piece by piece, every little piece for me is just like, that's what keeps me going, and why I often, like, when I go into a game dev session, I'm there for like 6 to 8 hours because it's like, oh, I did a thing. Ooh, that felt good. Now I'm inspired to go and do this thing. And so like my game dev comes in spurts like that, where it's just big, like stretches of inspiration that last for like 3 or 4 days, and then I bang out a game. Most of my games come together in like 4 to 7 days.
I totally get it's that it's not the idea. Oh, I want to have I want to do this.
Because we all did that. Like everybody's like, I have an idea for a video game, right? Like that's where everybody kind of stops, I think.
And it's not the moment of the coding. It's when you think, I want this guy to jump up in the air, and I want him to do. I want it to look like this and to feel like this.
I want him to jump and then
get it up
in
there,
a bucket, and
you press the button, and it happens. And it's like, all right, now you've got the arc. Yep. When it happens, I agree with you. That is a really cool moment, and it's one of the things that keeps you wanting to do more and more and more of that.
So I guess like the short form answer would be it's the problem solving, you know, because like I did. You've played Super Mario Brothers 2, and there's a level where it's a very long stretch where an egg gets shot across an ocean, and then you ride across it on that egg for that level. It's a really long section. I made a whole game out of that. And that whole I made an auto-scrolling side scroller based on one level in Super Mario Brothers 2. It's called Luigi floating on an egg over the sea, if you ever want to play it. But
that's a great name.
That whole process was just like, well, what if I did this? What if I did this? So I took I took as much of Super Mario Brothers 2 as I could and recontextualize it as an auto-scrolling side-scroller where you were just Luigi on an egg dodging things, and enemies approach you in ways that are different from how they would be approached in Super Mario Brothers 2. And all of that was like, okay, I've got these things that climb up vines. Now, how do I recontextualize that? And it's the problem solving aspect of taking an idea of like how this originally worked, and what if I make it work in this context? What if I make it behave entirely differently? What if I make this thing just explode and shoot a bunch of bullets out? It never did that in Mario. So that's my favorite part of game dev, is just like those moments where you like make things work that you see in your head, and then you're able to actually put it in, and then you take that stuff that you've already done. And that's the great thing about knowledge in game dev, is like knowledge just accumulates. So now you've got that. That's a new tool in your toolbox.
Yeah, that tool.
That you can take. That you can take to your next project. So like that's like the kind of thing. Is like I like knowledge, and I like problem solving. Those are the things that are really, really that really do it in designing games for me.
Yeah, and but there's the throwback to the problems in it, where when you're getting started, you don't have as many tools. So you're here, when you get started, you don't have as many tools, and you're starting to learn, but you can't do the thing that you want to do. And getting over that hump is really tricky. Once you do, and you get to this point where you have these tools, then you hit the next problem, and it is like, I can do anything that I want. Insert cricket sounds. What do I do? Like there's those other sides of it as well for people that are looking to get into that. it's tricky sometimes. It's like writer's block. I feel like
absolutely.
I have that sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll get this new ability. With my game maker, I can communicate with Twitch chat. I can see what people are saying.
Oh, that's such an endlessly cool tool to have at your disposal. Now what do you do with it?
Now what do you do? And you'll sit there and you don't know.
Yeah.
It's like with infinite, you get that paralysis. You have any ability, you can do whatever you want. And all of a sudden, you can't think of a single damn thing to do.
Yep. Like literally am like in the middle of that, like, you know, like I have a story that I want to turn into a visual novel project. But writer's block, you know, I don't have an approach yet. Like I know I've got a base idea. And I've got the tools. I know how to make this game in the maker that I use. So I just don't know like where my angle is, you know. And that's just that's how it can be with game design. Sometimes it's just like, you know, well, I got this coding stuff. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know. There's just no ideas right now.
Question for you that I don't know about game. Can you? We can export with 1.4. Mm-hmm. We can export to an executable for like a PC.
Sure.
Are we limited to just that with 1.4? I've got my son and I are making a game, and I think we want to put it on a phone at some point, or put it on something else. And I can't remember. We used to, when I got 1.4, I got the professional version.
Yeah, that's what I've got. I think
like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were able to export to different things. We were able to go to iOS and all of that stuff. I just don't know if you can do that anymore.
I'm looking at my setup literally right now, and I'm seeing exporting to Windows, Mac, OS X, Ubuntu, Linux, Android Fire. So you might need to check. So you might need to check your licenses. At Yo-Yo Games to see like maybe
Yo-Yo Games doesn't even exist anymore.
No, it doesn't. It's Opera Games or something like that now. But your account still works. Your stuff is still there. Because I actually had to like reinstall all of my Game Maker stuff recently, so I was able to grab that.
Okay,
stuff. So it
I
might
know
still
that
be
I can
there.
reach out to you if I have any questions.
Yeah. I'll do what I can to help you out. All right.
I don't know how. Exactly. Yeah. Well, my son wants to make a game. My son has got this. I think he's got a lot. He's been infected with my bug of development and stuff. Yeah,
good.
Not bad.
Like everybody should make games. Like I'm 100%. Yes, involve him.
He had this idea for a game, and he comes out here and makes things. He's calling it Wizard's Destiny. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening.
Okay,
to that name.
It's a grand
and
scope.
He draws pictures that we go in there and we start to make characters. And this is the way that he were at 8 years old. He's like, all right, well, there's going to be a level. It's going to be in the fall. I'm like, okay. So I want it to be like leaves falling and stuff like that. It's going to be a farm level, and you're a wizard, and you go through there. I'm like, okay. He says, and there's bales of hay. And if you get close enough to a bale of hay, a scarecrow will pop out, and he will have a scythe. He called it a big knife on a stick. I'm like, okay, a scythe or whatever. And he says, if you're close enough to him, he will try to hit you with it, and it'll stick in the ground. And then you'll have to jump over him and hit behind him, but it'll take 3 hits to finally get him. If you walk far enough away, he'll go back into the bale. Going, that's great. Like, that's a great idea for a character. So we went through and made all of that stuff. So we have the ability. He's got the little wizard character. We've got the setup for the scarecrows and stuff. It's the only thing that exists in the game right now, besides some other characters. But just the thought of that, just to come up with the idea.
That is a cool.
And then.
That is a
very cool.
That is a whole thought process. Like, that is a whole cute little one-screen game. Like, and I would say that, like, to encourage him to continue on that path, let that little one-screen thing, like, try to make that the game. Let that be the scope for now. Like, make the one cool thing. You've got this cool interaction. You've got, like, that is a game. Like, that little one thing that you've done there, like, in the interactions with the scarecrow, the scythe, and, like, being able to hit him 3 times, that's a cool thing to like have been a first project. And I think that the big thing that a lot of game devs kind of do when they start is they overscope. They think way too
100%.
like things that I would start people on. You did a game called Frame Perfect, which you press a button and you try to be frame perfect with it. And that is a perfect scale for somebody to like, that is a perfect scale of a game for someone to start with. So like for your son, I would say like, try to work with him on making this cute little idea into this like what, like it's a cute little short story of its own, you know, like that is a cool thing that could be a little finished product that you put out and say like, look, you did that. And like the next, now you've got tools in your tool belt to make something that's even bigger next time.
Well, it'd be good too, because one of the things that I got to do is I do have to figure, you know, he's going to want to show a friend, so
Absolutely.
he's going to need to have it on a device where he can do it.
All right.
So if we take it to this idea, you start on the left and there's a scarecrow and you have to beat him, and when you did, you win, and that's all it is. But then you go through the steps to finish that.
Yeah.
And now you have a title screen that you make a game loop out of it.
Yeah.
Title screen, press start. If you die, go back to title screen. If you complete, go to ending screen, back to title, you know, and then have the full loop, have it be able to be exported. And then from there, you juice it up with more things. Another level or whatever.
There you
and
go.
You can grow it from there. It's a good idea. I didn't actually think about it that way, because he overscopes huge. He's got so many ideas, but you need to start smaller.
Because like
yeah,
you keep your scope small and you keep yourself, I think that's how you keep yourself energized, because like it's very much is similar to the satisfaction you get out of completing a flawless run. There's an end to it. Like that's the thing. It's like if you keep building and building and building, it can be better and better and better and bigger and bigger. You're never done. And that's where a lot of game devs really trip up. Serious, start especially since he's so young, get used to the idea of like doing and appreciating cute small things, and because those small things are always going to lead you to be able to more efficiently do the bigger things, because you're constantly adding tools to your toolbox.
Toolbox.
That's how I've always looked at like the way that I learned game dev. Is like I keep everything that I've done, and like I reuse code all the time, because that is code that I wrote that worked. So it's there in my toolbox. Like if I need to move something around the screen, I need something to react to keyboard movement, boom, I got code that can do that. I'm just throwing it in there.
I should do that more often. I don't. I build everything from well, I do a little bit more now. I do a little bit more of that now when I'm doing things, but for the most part, I forget how I did whatever, like the Wookiee on my screen that comes up and laughs at you. Like
that's so old at this point.
At this point, but there's functionality there that can be used in all sorts of ways.
Like, all of that
but I
stuff.
won't do it.
No, you got to do things the hard way.
I should keep better. I should keep it a better track of
commented.
Those tools,
like I comment the hell out of my code too. Like I always use comments. So I know like what everything does. Yeah. Wow. Like I wasn't expecting us to end up in a nice little game dev tangent after all of that. What a fun little diversion that was. I like that. Anything
I enjoy
else?
it. And to be
anything else you'd like to hit? No, go ahead.
Couple things with the game dev thing. I have aspirations. That's a fun word. That has ass in it.
Ass.
To build a game on stream. I just think we did Frame Perfect, but like a little bit more fleshed out of a game. So and it takes something that because I did the rock climbing game with my brother, but I think I would like to do an Appalachian Trail hiking game.
That would be crazy.
I think it would be fun. I have ideas for like you move the idea of like you can go so far before you get tired, but then you have to keep drinking and eating to fuel. It's like a survival type game. But work at side scrolling, but all the gear that you have has a weight and has a shape. So there's like this, you bring up your pack and it has so many squares in it, but the gear has a shape. So you're Tetris trying to fit the gear in your pack. So you have like a little mini game in there, but then all the gear has weight, but it also has different statistics that help your character be better at the side scrolling. But then you mix it up with Mario, so it's like it's side scrolling, but you have to defeat. You have to jump on top of squirrels and squish them like in Mario. So it's like a simple side scroll. I've had this idea that I want to do, and I'm looking forward to having the ability to produce that on the stream. I don't know when I'll ever get the free time or whatever. I want to dive into that project. I think I need to finish up this kind of the Flawless NES project, but that's something I would like to do. But I'm curious to your thoughts, because have you worked at all with NES Maker?
Not NES
So
Maker.
the
It is on my list of things to do. Like, I don't know how much assembly language you need to know to use NES Maker, or if you need to know any at all.
I think zero, but I so badly want my video game to go
absolutely.
in a console.
To actually put a like I've done chiptune music that you can put in a Nintendo before. I've made
that's cool.
I've made NES tunes like that I've been able to, like, you know, put on an SD card and like throw it in my NES. Like, I made that. It's on my Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I've been able to do that.
I think maybe I should start with that Frame Perfect game and just put that in NES Maker and actually have a cart for that. Like you said, start small with the project.
Absolutely.
And then now I know what it's like to do that. Because I think it would be neat to have it as a console game. I'm too much of a nerd for putting things on my console and seeing them on a CRT.
I think that is an amazing feeling. And I think that Frame Perfect is like a perfect idea for that, because again, there's a very small amount of verbs to work with. And that's something that I always think about when I'm game developing too, is like, how many verbs am I dealing with? So it's like, you think of everything that the player is capable of and you make a verb for that. That's going to be your to-do list of the things that you need to be able to kind of make work together. So verbs, like definitely kind of want to think in terms of verbs, and like Frame perfect little list of verbs there that to make work.
There's 7.
Yeah, there's little itty
You're pressing a button and starting the game.
Like,
Change the difficulty.
I've been wanting to play.
So simple.
I've been wanting to play with NES Maker and Game Boy Studio, both of which have been like really interesting.
I've never heard
me.
of Game Boy Studio.
The Game Boy Studio is cool. You can make Game Boy games with it, and it's free.
Is NES Maker free? Probably not.
I don't want to. I don't know off the top of my head, honestly. I don't want to say anything and, like, you know, rush anybody off by saying that it is
like
paid.
A day later, I'm sending you hate messages. You told me it was free.
He'd do that too. He abuses his viewers all the
Joe
time.
Rock says Game Maker is $36.
Oh,
and
I
if
thought that
he's
it was
wrong, even by a penny, we will get on. We'll hate speech into his DMs.
That's it. Yeah.
We'll drop him in his DMs.
You're done.
With mean
stuff. You're so cooked. You're so cooked. Anything else about game dev before we kind of move on? Or
no, I'm good.
All right. So how about we pull the train back into flawlessness land then? What do you say?
Okay.
So
for sure.
we can try. So what, in your opinion, it makes a good candidate for a flawless NES game? Like, beyond a game that maybe you would just try and downright hate or anything, like, what is something that, like, is a good candidate, like, that for you? Is it always like, this is a game that I owned or played as a kid, and that, like, I will, like, what's usually the main drive? What usually draws you to a specific game?
I think it's very similar. Well, for people that are getting into it, besides me, it's very similar to speedrunning. Choose something that you like. I'm beyond that point now. I'm beyond choosing games that I like, because most of the games that I really liked that I was passionate about, I've been through.
Yeah.
So for me, I do think about the other side of it. What games do other people like? So I tend to do more popular AAA games when it comes to more people are going to want to see it done.
Yeah.
And then that leans heavily into harder games because more people will want to see it done.
Sure.
So I lean into that, the more popular, difficult games, and then I probably should do more popular, easy games, so I could get more games done. Because you're like you said, if you're doing something that someone likes, they want to hang out in the stream. There's the community growth there, and you're gonna reach out to more people if you're doing more games, more variety of games. So if I would maybe not do Battletoads or Zelda 1 that take me a year, I could probably work through games and get more of them done, and that would be something that I could see myself. I should be doing. Yeah. But I tend to go popular, difficult. Those are my my conditions.
And I think that, that you were incentivized to do that. You have every reason to, want to keep those people engaged because those big ticket games are going to be more views, and that is, hey, like it's your career. This is something
anymore. Yeah, it did turn into a career. So I have to think about it a little bit more strategically. Sure. I tend to not. Still, like I tend to just be like, who cares? Well, let's make it
like sure, Darkwing Duck, whatever. Why not?
Exactly, but my business sense says no. This is what you should do. You need to be doing these games because this is what will drive viewership. So it's the little angel on one shoulder and the other shoulder. One's telling me this is what you should do, and then the other one's like, "Bam, do what you want." So I balance that.
Nice. So, okay, along that same line, what do you think makes a bad candidate? What is a game that you throw it on and it's just like, oh, this is just not gonna work?
Broken game. I mean, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I know I'm doing the AVGN's top 10 hardest games, and Battletoads is the last one on that list because I don't include Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
I think that a certain amount of chat wants to see you suffer.
Sure.
They kind of like that.
There's an allure to that.
Entertainment in that. But there's a line to cross there. No one wants to see me play Jekyll and Hyde for a year.
No.
The game is broken. It's no fun. It's a walking simulator. Yeah. It's no fun to watch. It would be no fun to do. I wouldn't be, what did you say earlier? Just have fun. Yeah. I wouldn't be having fun.
That's the thing.
If it draws that line, it crosses that line where I'm not going to have fun and I'm doing it more just out of spite, like those are not good games. No. Games that you're doing for that reason, I think is going to, well, it's gonna affect if you're having fun and if other people are having fun. So that's my main broken
ass, just the absolute
games.
There is. I think that the novelty of a streamer suffering through something like Jekyll and Hyde literally only works for like an hour, and then it's just like, okay, we get, it's not fun anymore. It was funny for a moment, haha. He's gonna laugh. He's gonna say, this game's poopy farts. But
yeah, exactly. But you're right, an hour or whatever. It's not gonna last long. And there's a difference between broken games like Jekyll and Hyde or Superman or just broken games,
broken ass
and
garbage,
breaking a game. Yeah. Like we're working through Zelda 2 any% now, and we're breaking that game. It's different though because people have the fond memory of the game, and breaking it is interesting. Whereas a game is just broken.
It's not.
No one. Yeah. There's no fond memories of it. It's just broken.
Like you are just taking a game that everybody knows and loves and making it do things that are actually making the cartridge squeal in pain. Because it's just like, what am I even looking at? Like, there's nothing on screen that lines up with anything. The colors are all over the place. It is the wildest damn run I've ever seen.
And it is fun too, but there is also a retention there as well. Like you said, when making the streamer suffer like for an hour or so is okay. I'm going to try to wrap up any percent Zelda 2 here in a few weeks. I do geek out over it and I'm having fun with it. But people are I'm gonna go to all keys. So I'll go to the game that's not broken so that people can enjoy that as well. There's a balance to be had for that as well.
Have we, I can't remember off the top of my head, have you just literally dropped any flawless projects yet where you were just like, no, fuck this, I cannot, I hate this?
There was, Weevil of Doom likes Wizards and Warriors.
Oh,
I don't know if I will that one.
Those are...
Because it's just, unless something can be developed with the RNG, it's just random and you just get hit. Now, that's still not completely dropped. It's kind of like maybe we'll look at it from time to time. I'm learning more about being able to use emulation to look at RAM values.
Yeah,
I'm learning a little bit more about the code diving part of it. I'd like to have a little bit of an understanding and be able to look at the assembly as well. I think it would be neat to know. And it's another one of those toolbox things, something that we could put in there. So you never know, but that one's kind of off the table. Kid Icarus is another one that I worked to a 3-hit, but using glitches because of some rooms that maybe we could find out about. I haven't dropped anything where it's like, I am never going to do this. I'm never going to go back to it. But there's a couple of them. Kid Icarus is one. I don't know when I'll get back to Trojan. I kind of did that because someone had brought it up and it's like, oh, this will be a quick, easy one. And it turned out to not be quick and easy. So, but again, not dropped. I had fun with it and we worked on it. I plan on going back to it. So there's not really any of them that I've sworn off. Jekyll and Hyde, some of the ones that I don't plan on doing. But even those ones... You never know.
You never know. Like, you can never say never because we never know, like, what other taskers are going to find at some point that maybe you could pull from. That'd be like, oh, you know, it's just like, but yeah, like, absolutely, like, Wizards and Warriors and games like that. Those European designed games that are made with, like, oh, just eating damage and, you know, we'll give you health later. Those are so hard. Games like I think of games that are hard to, like, not take damage, of games like Narc. Bad dudes. But like I love
beat 'em ups. I mean, Double Dragon's been tricky.
Double Dragon, Double Dragon 1 and 2. We didn't finish 3 yet, right?
No, 3 is still. I didn't really even try. I routed, but I didn't try. I didn't do attempts yet.
Yeah, like I know 1 and 2. Like those are 2 like favorite NES games of mine, and those were fun to kind of watch come together. But it was also they were hard in ways that I had never imagined it would be hard because it's like, oh, this is actually way harder.
Yeah.
Because like, I remember it's like, oh, why don't you just use the flying knee a bunch? Because if you do it and you miss, you're gonna get hit, and that's the end of a run.
Yeah, you have to be 100% perfect with the knee. And as powerful as it is, and as great as it is, you miss it once and it's over.
Yep, that's it.
And statistically, you have to work with statistics. And statistically, you are not going to put together a full playthrough where you hit every knee.
No.
Is it possible? Yes. Statistically, not very likely. It's much more likely that we are able to do it these other ways that are different, but then that's what's fun about it. The routing through the process is that's the fun. That's the fun. There are times, I have to admit, where the routing is so far gone that the fun is. Jagard put Z1 in chat.
Yeah.
Zelda 1, excuse me, has been routed. Now it's put the time in.
Yeah.
We worked on it a year. I'm giving it a year off.
Yeah.
I'll go back to it next year. But that's a new level of difficulty. Once you get to a spot in a game where you know what you need to do, but you just have to put the time in, that's hard. That's hard for anybody, I think.
Yeah, like when you're at the grind it out phase, because there's nothing new you can learn here. It's just putting everything together in that like 1.5 hours or whatever that Zelda run is. It's just like, oh.
It's just hard.
Yeah.
Just hard.
You just gotta, it's really hard.
Very hard.
So, Is there any game that you've tackled for this project at all that you'd like never played before, but actually ended up like really liking in the end, and kind of like a late discovery is like, oh wow, it sucks that I waited this long to play this one.
There's been actually, I'm going to bring up the list to see if I can bring a little bit of a memory here, but a bunch of them, to be honest with you, most of the games that I've played through, I'm surprised how much I enjoy the game learning it. Well, Fester's Quest is not one of them. Never mind. So that one's not.
Starting with a banger.
Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer was fun.
That
game was fun.
I was
it was short. I was
shocked at how fast you got that clear. That was
It's
incredible.
not a hard game.
Nope.
It's not a hard game.
It's really not.
I was so surprised that because of how much hate it gets, I imagined it. And anytime you get you go into something with expectation, you're setting yourself up. I expected it to be really hard and no fun, and I was surprised. That was more fun. I never played all the way through Metroid as a kid, so playing through Metroid, that grind was just so much fun. Batman is a good game. I'm just kind of going down through the list here. Batman is a good game, but I didn't find it to be that much like enjoyable as far as gameplay. It's too clunky moving. Yeah,
it's a very weighty game. Like there's not a lot of finesse to its movement, I don't think.
Castlevania 3, never played as a kid. Great game.
Yep.
I loved playing through Contra. The DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale, like the Disney games, those games are, I mean, they'll never be like a 10.
Yeah, they're just really well put together.
7s. Yeah, they're good. They're good games.
Just solid little games.
River City Ransom. Let's talk about one game that I never knew about that is such a good game. River City Ransom is a great game.
Yep, that one's fun.
Great game. But those are probably some. I mean, I play a lot of the other games that I've done so far. I've played through. I mean, Russian Attack I never played through as a kid, but that it's playable. But it's not like, I mean, River City Ransom had some complexity and some cool things that just set it apart. And the rest of the games, I really had a good.
Yeah, a good knowledge or experience with already
beforehand.
Yeah. But it's just cool to like find something in the midst of this project where you'd never played it before and be like, oh, you get delighted by playing something new for the first time, and then being able to enjoy it that way. Yeah, that's a cool feeling.
I think I should probably play the games casually first.
You probably should.
So I'm not gonna.
No, like you got X amount of time to play games a day, right? So why not? Like, why would you waste time like playing a game and piddling around when you could just be, all right, let's just start dissecting the game now?
Well, and there's a reason for that I could get behind. This is a little bit of a conversation that I think a lot of people end up, dilemma they start thinking about is this idea of developer intention.
Sure.
Like, what kind of experience are you supposed to have playing a game? And when I started playing Fester's Quest, from the moment I started, I was save stating and playing the game. My experience with Fester's Quest, same thing with Silver Surfer, is not. There's so many things that you skip over by diving directly into that you would get in a casual playthrough.
Yeah.
But in the end, all you have is a little bit more of what the developer intended. Like, for example, with Silver Surfer, I didn't learn the way and go through the game the way that people would have. So I don't know it the way that people do. Like, I'll tell everybody, I mean, Silver Surfer was a relatively easy game and is once you learn it. But I don't know what it's like to learn Silver Surfer without save states, which is a completely different way of, I mean, I just mapped out the levels and you sit over here and you just wait and nothing hits you. Like, you don't find that playing it casually.
No, not at all. I just sit in one spot and don't shoot for 50 seconds. It's fine.
So you're limiting yourself a little bit by not going through them casually.
You're not getting kind of like that wonderment of like just throwing a game on and throwing yourself at it and seeing what happens. You're going in with an intent.
But to your point about time, to take a game like Silver Surfer. It may have taken me a couple weeks, maybe not that long. Maybe let's say it took me a week to get through the game, the on the cart in the console without save states.
Yeah.
That's a week of time that I didn't spend because it only took me about 2 days to route it and 1 day to do it. So there's 3 days into the project as opposed to a week and a half. Is it worth it to go through it that way? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, hindsight's always going to be 20/20 in a situation like that, I think. You know, like you still had fun with it in the end. I think that's still like what matters. So
really did.
Like, and you ended up enjoying the game, and so yeah. So it looks like we are probably getting ready to start running low on time. I know you said you kind of wanted to be out of here by noon, and I don't want to upset.
Around noon, yeah.
I don't want to upset Miss Slackanater. So we'll kind of jump to my final question then, if we want to roll that way.
Dun dun dun.
All right. So I know at present that the branding is flawlessness, and it focuses on NES games. But I want to bring something to your attention. You have a Link to the Past Damages run under your belt, which that's not a NES game.
That's correct.
With that said, do you feel at this point maybe more open to the SNES and Genesis library, or maybe even like modern retro indie titles like Shovel Knight or Cyber Shadow or Blazing Chrome? Do you think like things like that might ever kind of weasel their way into your grasp?
So, yes, because especially with the SNES, it's easy to do. Like Jagar said, I also did Super Mario World.
My bad.
Yeah. So what you do is my branding is flawless, and then capital NES, flawlessness.
Okay.
All you have to do is take the last S of flawless and capitalize it. Now it's flawless SNES.
Flawless SNES. Okay.
If you look, the YouTube thumbnails have that.
Right.
On there.
Why didn't I think of that?
To your point, though, other games, yes. So one of the problems that I have and that I see with this project is that I'm a human and I'm going to die eventually.
Right, unfortunately.
I plan on doing this for a really long time. So to be able to see what happens in the future, you never really know. But the SNES games, for me, if they're a continuation of a series, I want to do Double Dragon 3 and then maybe Super Double Dragon. Or I did all 3 Castlevanias, Super Castlevania, or Castlevania 4.
Yeah.
It'd be a great one. Metroid? Hell yeah. Like, I want to expand onto those, and when the need arises for a change up or a new game, absolutely, I'll probably stick with my overwhelming theme of popular and difficult. Sure. That's kind of like the idea. And if it finishes off a series of games, or if it continues a series of games like the Contra games, I can definitely see doing that. I'm big into that.
I'll be there for all those Contra games. Give them to me.
Working my way through a game title, keeping on with that same
series,
game.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like again, there's that two side. Do what you want to do. Do what's good for your stream. One of the things that I think is good for the stream is to branch out into other things as well.
Yeah.
So like I've downloaded and I have Dark Souls. I do want to do a no damage playthrough of Dark Souls, because one of the things that I've always wanted to do, everyone says, you said at the very beginning of this interview, NES hard. People say that, but is NES hard as we make it out to be in comparison to modern games?
Sure.
And I really don't have the answer to that, because I'm a very one-trick pony. I'm one side of the argument. I know a lot about beating NES games without damage. Yep. I know a lot about it. If I at least dip my toe into some of the more modern games, I can have that informed
comparison. Like you have, you're able to make that comparison properly.
Because I don't know if anybody can. Yeah. I really don't know if there's a lot of people. Dark Souls has been destroyed by that community. There's people that beat all of them, all 7 of them in 17 hours of perfect gameplay.
I've literally beat the first one at level 1. So yeah, like those games have been trounced.
So that information's there, but the people that beat those games can't really speak for Ninja Gaiden.
Right.
Not on the NES. So there needs to be someone to bridge that gap. So I would like to tackle some more modern games as well as just flesh out the experience in gaming as a whole. Like jump through it to see how development worked. I mean, my opinion now, my uninformed and slightly educated opinion on game development is when you start to add more functionality and more things that the player can do in a game, you open yourself up for an ever-growing amount of loopholes in your game.
Sure.
So without playtesting to an extreme degree, when you add more functionality, all of that functionality has a greater chance of being abused. And I think that's what made NES games difficult, is because you were so limited on what you had to do that there are some things that just are hard to do and there's nothing you can do about it. And you take games like Link to the Past, where they gave you more functionality, and then I say, oh, you're going to give me a cape where I can't get hit, and you allow me to have more magic, and I can manipulate the drops to drop more magic. Well, I'll walk through most of your game invincible.
Yep. That,
absolutely. And I feel like modern games are so much more.
They have those conveniences, yeah.
You look at Dark Souls. From what I've looked at, a lot of it's just running around doing the things. The combat in Dark Souls is like, whoa, you'd have to be really good at the combat. It's like, no, you can just walk by everybody. Just walk past them.
Just walk past
Roll
them.
By,
Why
and they're not
engage?
as fast as you are. And you go, oh no!
That's
all
not
of a
how
sudden,
you're supposed to play it.
Well, you can get into that as well, but I think that there's a more acceptance now as there used to be in gaming. Used to be when I first started getting into the speed running and stuff like that, it was more frowned upon to play the game that way. It's like, that's not how it was intended.
Oh yeah,
that's relaxed a little bit now.
My Contra videos
got a lot of hate.
My Contra videos still get cheater accusations.
Yep.
Nobody
if
can
I went
do
back
that.
through my YouTube, if I went back through my YouTube comments, I mean, I would say, well, I think let's look at. I think within the week, this is going to be funny because I think it was really not that long ago. Yep, 4 days ago, a comment on Ninja Gaiden. Now do it without using a glitch.
Now do it without using a glitch.
It's just that
we're
never going to escape that. But you know something? It is more accepted now than it used to be.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I do see a lot more people that kind of just like a lot of the time I think it just comes from jealousy, and that like they didn't do it or can't do it or don't want to try to do it, so they just kind of put down people for doing it.
Down.
So, but I think more and more people just say, "Oh, cool! Like I wish I could do that," and I'm always going to be the person that said, "You can, dog."
Mm-hmm. I'm similar to that as well. It's like I tend to take a comment like that and explain, well, here you go. Here is a video where I did something without the glitches, or I understand. Like when I talk about Zelda 2, I try to be like, this isn't the only way that I play the game.
No,
like, this is just another way to do it.
Yeah.
I also play it without because I enjoy the game so much that I want to do it in all sorts of different ways. It's replay value in an old game where replay value was never thought about.
Part of the process. Like they never thought about, like game design had not come to a point where we were thinking about replay value. In fact, they wanted you to get these carts out of your system as quickly as possible and pop new ones right back in there.
Yeah, exactly. So their goal wasn't to have, well, sometimes they had different endings.
Sure,
made you play the game. But we get replay value by just doing it a different way.
Doing it a different way, and it just keeps things fun for us.
Speed run, categories, no damage, glitches, all of that stuff is a way for us to revisit the games that we played as kids and just continue to play them, because the games don't. Well, actually, now we're starting to change the games. We're starting to do randomizers.
Yeah,
and stuff,
like randomizers are insane.
But at a base level, the game won't change. So the way that we play it is what needs to change.
Yep. And I think that is a very good note for us to wrap things up on.
Very cool.
I had a fantastic time getting to talk to you. This has been one of my favorite interviews ever.
It's been a lot of fun.
This was so good. We were able to tackle so much. And of course, again, I want to send special thanks to Mrs. Slackanater for letting us borrow you for a couple hours on your day off. I apologize for us going over a little bit here. But yeah, it's been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for coming on. Like, I knew that this was going to be a fun conversation because you are so just, again, prolific is the word I keep coming back to, and then everything that you do. And it's been so fun to kind of tie everything that I wanted to tie together into this, and it all got in there. So I could not be happier, and I hope that you feel that you got to tell your story and that you had a good time as well.
As I say, you're a fantastic host. I had a blast,
so
and the conversation was really fun. I felt very comfortable and at home in this little TV, even though it's a little bit different than it's like, I don't know if it's yeah, it's just a little scratch there or something, but it's nice. It's
I had
nice.
to pull it out of the basement, and that thing's been sitting down there for a few years. So, yeah, no. We did the best for you. We rolled out the red carpet the best we could. Is there anything that you would want to tell the folks that are here listening? Anything you want to plug? Like, this is your time to say anything you want, to plug anything you want. Let's go.
Well, yeah, I do. Multibot. There you go. Look at me. I actually have something to plug. So, and I don't know if I can drop a link or something. I'll try to do it. But Multibot is a software for Twitch streamers, especially if you're getting started. It's a really useful software to use. It has a bunch of fun things. Multibot. That's good, right? And also just Twitch stream in general. If you like anything that we talked about, feel free to Slackanater is the Twitch. It is the Twitter. It is the YouTube. It's all underneath the same name. So if you're interested in anything that we talked about that I do, then just find me on one of those things.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I did great.
You did so good.
I did great with that.
Proud of you. I'm giving you a little head pat right now on my screen. Look at you. You're doing so good. We're all proud of you, Slack.
Great. I did good.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast.
All right. And we are going to kick it on out of here. Thank you all so much for stopping by on a Sunday morning. I cannot believe the audience we were able to pull on a Sunday morning. That's honestly shocking for me. But we hope that you all had a blast, had as much of a blast as we did. And I'll catch you next time whenever I stream. And until then, go follow Slack. Go subscribe. This dude deserves it. Ain't nobody working harder and streaming right now than Slackanater.
Yes. Well, probably some.
Maybe.
Some.
I don't know. We'll see. No, dude, take it. Take it. Just look, you are the hardest working one, okay?
All right. Bye, everybody.
Take it easy, everybody. Bye.